the UK government apparently is set to launch a giant publicity campaign attacking end-to-end encryption. Their main objective is to sway public opinion against Facebook's decision to end-to-end encrypt its Messenger app. They're, of course, using children as the vehicle for swaying public opinion. They've hired M&C Saatchi advertising agency. They're doing all kinds of stunts, some of which are shockingly manipulative, basically to tell a very one-sided story. And that story is how end-to-end encryption cannot be allowed because privacy will somehow enable more attacks on children. There's so much to dig into here. I mean, this makes me so angry. It's absolutely not uncommon. I mean, it's through advertising campaigns that the governments get through a lot of their policies. A lot of people don't even realize this. I mean, the Federal Reserve itself was first instituted because preceding it was a giant advertising campaign where you had all of these banking cartels taking out giant full-page ads in coordinated releases across the country in hundreds of publications. This is what happens. So now the UK is taking a leaf out of that book. They're saying, well, we don't want private messaging. We want everyone's messages to be insecure because somehow that helps children. So let's dive into this. Will, I'm going to throw this to you to start off with. What were your thoughts about all of this?
I thought Boris looked pretty funny in that photo. So great choice from the editor there.
Yeah.
Off the top, though, totally agree with you. End-to-end encryption should be just the standard practice, and a lot of these firms are using end-to-end encryption. And there's also been a lot of backlash when firms have chosen not to use it or have even walked back their end-to-end encryption. Remember, I think about a year ago, WhatsApp decided to kind of change the way that they were encrypting messages, and a lot of people, especially in crypto, got pretty pissed off at Facebook and deleted the app and left the whole ecosystem. Of course, that doesn't mean that we're going to see that happen in practicality across all these different firms, especially when the government gets involved and they choose what you can do. And if you don't listen to them, guess what happens? Well, you go to jail. That's why the Telegram founder, he doesn't live in Russia. He lives in Dubai, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of the reason why he's there is because he doesn't want to deal with the Russian government, which has been after him for the launch of Telegram. We've seen Germany is going after Telegram more recently, and it's just going to keep happening. Messaging is information. That information has value, and governments are going to go after all this value where they can. That's why Bitcoin matters. That's why privacy tech matters. That's why end-to-end encryption matters. And I think, Naomi, I'm pretty bearish on this whole subject. I think we're going to see a lot more pain points and pressure going forward before things get better. But Jen, I want to throw this to you and kind of get your take on it.
Yeah, my first thought was, I wonder how this is going to affect the advertising agency's business. You know, I would assume that the more privacy-focused clients would see the story and maybe take their business elsewhere. Naomi, Will, I completely agree with you. I want to read a quote from the story. So this was from a Home Office spokesperson. He said, "We have engaged M&C Saatchi to bring together the many organizations who share our concerns about the impact end-to-end encryption would have on our ability to keep children safe." And this quote is accompanied, I know, Naomi, you didn't really explain what the campaign was, and I'll let you tell us more about it in a second. But they talk about this glass box where there are two actors in the box, a parent and a child. And then the glass box just slowly goes black. That's quite dramatic and quite a message that they're sending to the public. And the story also mentioned that there are privacy groups that are launching a counter campaign, which I think is so important to this story. It's so shocking to me how many people will watch ads like this and just take the word as gospel. And so it's really important for these privacy groups to launch their campaigns. And I hope that they're effective and they drive people to find more information and really understand why end-to-end encryption is so important. But Naomi, I'll pass it back up to you.
Yeah, just on your comment about what this campaign is. So it's a giant multi-pronged approach. It isn't just the physical installations at like shopping malls and things like that, where you have this glass box that Jen mentioned. So the opening phase of this campaign, which is expected to launch within a few days, apparently, according to this leaked presentation that Rolling Stone got hold of, the whole point of this is to make things appear to be the result of grassroots action, children's charities. They're downplaying any government role. Like, they're being really insidious with how they're doing this. They're just making it seem like, well, a group of us really, children-loving people who want to protect the world are getting together in this grassroots movement, and it's not that at all. It is a government-funded, which means taxpayer-funded approach, where the government is using your money to try to convince you to be less secure in your communications. You're funding this, right? So, I mean, it's just crazy. So the presentation itself says, we're going to urge social media companies to put children's safety first. We're going to get a bunch of children's charities and stakeholders to come together. Like, I mean, it's a really comprehensive plan, and they've really targeted the psychology of people. Like, what's going to mobilize them the best? Well, you want to see people from these actual charities. You want to make it seem like they took up the initiative to create this campaign. Like, I mean, I've said it before, it's really insidious, but Will, I'll throw it back to you.
Well, I want to get Zach's opinion on this, because I might be mistaken here, but you're kind of the demographic something like this would be going after, right? Someone who's would be, perhaps these ads would be targeted for. So how would you kind of take this information?
Well, on that
like
note,
ODB
Will,
once said,
Zach,
we're for the children.
So I just want to mention, sorry,
Go for it.
I just want to say, like, just on that note, because I want Zach's opinion too, they mentioned in the article, most people don't know what end-to-end encryption is. And so they're easily susceptible. And so if they're just given this very dramatic campaign that talks about children dying, they're obviously going to be swayed. Zach, as our resident non-end-to-end encrypted user, what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, I always like to step this one back, and I think you're right? Like, people hear end-to-end encryption and it's kind of scary, and crypt is in there. It's a kind of scary word, but like, I think there's a humanist case for why these services matter, right? Like, it's important to remember that, like, before the internet, you could like converse with someone, and that wouldn't be logged, recorded for posterity, for people to lurk on and mine for data or other insights and intelligence. Back in the old days, you could talk, you could transfer funds, you could do things that would happen ephemerally, and they wouldn't be recorded and spied on and snooped on. And that's why some of these messaging apps are a really beautiful thing, because they sort of recreate in a digital, highly surveilled world that human-first space in which you can communicate with privacy, with trust, and you can establish relations in a way that is akin to the olden days, before the time of digital surveillance. So I think, like, when we talk about encryption apps, end-to-end encryption, be it Signal, be it whatever, it's important to kind of like remember what it's all about. And it's the stuff that very much animated like early cypherpunks too, right? Like, money moving to the online world is going to face the same challenges as information moving to the online world has already faced. So when we're talking about sort of what Bitcoin and encryption and all these technologies are really about, it's couched in technology, but really there's a human core to what this stuff is all about. So I think, like, as we talk about, some of this messaging activity around why end-to-end encryption is bad, it's just always good to kind of step back and be like, okay, here's the humanist case for why private messaging platforms, should be protected. And that's all I got.
That's really well said. I will encourage.
Clip that. Throw
Sorry,
it on
go
YouTube.
ahead, Will.
That was great.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks, folks.
I will, as like final
Appreciate
statements,
you.
encourage everyone to download Signal. It is end-to-end encrypted. It is the most secure messaging app out there, and they don't collect all this metadata that supposedly end-to-end encrypted chats like WhatsApp and Telegram and all of these places do. So Telegram doesn't collect the metadata, but most of their conversations are actually not even end-to-end encrypted. Something to keep in mind.